I placed in 1995. Open adoption was still very, very new. There weren't people who had been in it for several years at that point. So I didn't have anybody that I could really talk to about how they were doing years down the road. You know, so I didn't know if I would be able to handle all that openness and seeing it and everything. And so I chose mediated adoption, which, for those of you who don't know, everything goes through the cradle. If they were to send pictures and letters, they would send it to the cradle first, and the cradle would then forward it on to me. And at first, you know, when he was really little, I got pictures and letters like once a month, and then once every couple months, and then it started lengthening. And then when he was, I want to say he was about 13, between 13 and 16 somewhere, I contacted them, trying to see if maybe they wanted to have maybe a little bit more contact, or at least make it a little bit easier, by like exchanging email addresses, or, hooking up on Facebook or something to make it a little bit easier to get some updates and things like that. Because I thought, well, maybe it's just the whole letter writing thing, that's the issue. They said no. So I was like, okay. I understood. I mean, I wasn't too thrilled with it, but I understood. And they said that when he turned 18, if he wanted to, that, they had no problem with him, getting a hold of me. I get a letter from them saying that he wanted to initiate contact, because he had just turned 18 in the previous February, and he was looking at initiating contact. So I was completely stoked. The birth mother's letter, or the adopted mom's letter, left a little bit to be desired. She unloaded a whole bunch of information on me all at once, that if we had kept up contact, it wouldn't have been so overwhelming. Found out that he had shingles when he was 8, he has really bad asthma, that he has rheumatoid arthritis, that he had a brain injury when he was like 13 or 14 years old. All these things all at once, and so I was thrilled with the letter, but it was kind of like heartbreaking at the same time to hear all this stuff all at once. And if we had had contact over the years, like I had asked for, it would have been a little bit easier to handle.
Yeah.
So I finally get the letter written, and I send off pictures of not only myself, but of, I have nieces and nephews now, so I sent pictures of them and my siblings and, that kind of thing. And that seemed to satisfy his curiosity, because then he backed off. And I haven't heard from them since, and it's been several years. I call it limbo. I'm just sitting in this limbo state of, I don't know. Maybe he'll change his mind and want to, talk to me directly, but so far he hasn't. I understand it, but I don't think it's fair.
No.
I don't think it's fair at all. I mean, not to sound bitter about it, but I gave them this beautiful gift, and they've left me high and dry. And that's how I feel right now. They've left me high and dry. Like, oh, thanks for the gift, and we'll go on with our lives. I mean, and I hear all these stories on the birth mothers who have all this contact, and it really makes me regret having the kind of contact that I do, or that I chose. I really, really wish there had been somebody that I could have talked to hear, how great it can be to have all that contact, because I would have chosen a completely open adoption had I known. I would have completed, and it probably would have changed who I had as his parents. But I would have chosen more contact, because, I didn't realize you could always back off a little bit if you know, needed some space or anything like that. I actually speak in high schools on adoption, and you know, and I've told Nina and everybody else that, you know, if there's somebody who needs to talk to somebody who's been in it in a while, you know, who has this kind of contact and they're thinking about, you know, choosing this, you know, I've always made myself available to be somebody to talk to, because I don't regret choosing adoption, but I do regret the kind of openness that I chose, because it's caused a lot more heartache and heartbreak on my end.